So I've got a slide on each individual driver, and you'll see how this plays out with a little bit of commentary. Lando Norris. Lando is set up well to win the 2025 Driver Championship, and that will be his primary goal. The key thing for him will be building and improving that consistency. I'm expecting McLaren to have the best car, though I think those top 4 manufacturers are going to be extremely close given that final year of engine regulations. I've rated Lando the second best race driver, 10th best under the Focus framework, and 3rd under the hot or not meter. I am expecting, however, some team order challenges, primarily just as they work through who's going to effectively win the championship this year. Look out for Lando in Singapore, Emilia-Romagna and United States. Lando had no DNFs in 2024. I've rated Lando 88 out of 100. Jack Doohan. I think a lot of people are underestimating Jack, and I don't know if you've noticed, but Jack's shaved off his hair similar to his Formula 2 days, and he raced really well in Formula 2. However, he will be feeling the pressure this year. It's going to be his rookie season, and I've got Colapinto in the background. His main goal will be to retain his seat. He'll be aiming for a great start at his home race in Melbourne, and trying to tip on the toes of Pierre, and at times beat him. I'm expecting Alpine to have the 6th best car. It's going to be an extremely tight midfield. I've rated Jack the 14th best equal race driver, similar to the other rookies, and 20th under the Focus framework and 7th under the hot or not meter. Look out for Jack in Australia, Saudi Arabia, Hungary and Belgium. I've given him a rating of 71.4 out of 100. Andrea Kimi Antonelli. So I'm expecting Kimi will have a bit of a mixed season. He's going to have some exceptional results. However, he's going to make some big mistakes. This will be a year of trial and error, and I think his main goal will be to prove his pace with minimal crashes. I'm expecting Mercedes have the 4th best car. However, as I've mentioned previously, those top 4 manufacturers are going to be extremely close in performance due to it being the final year of engine regulations. I've rated Kimi 14th best equal race driver, 15th under the Focus framework, and 12th under the hot or not meter. Look out for Kimi in Hungary and Azerbaijan. I've rated Kimi 80.6 out of 100. Max Verstappen. Max has every chance to win the 2025 Driver Championship, and that will be his goal. Red Bull are expected to have the 3rd best car. As I've previously mentioned, those top 4 manufacturers are going to be extremely close. I've rated Max the best race driver, 2nd best under the Focus framework, and 8th under the hot or not meter. I believe Max and Liam are a perfect pairing. Look out for Max in Japan, Qatar, Spain and Emilia-Romagna. On the other hand, Max has had 2 DNFs in Australia over the past 3 years. It might not be the strongest start this season. I've rated him at 88.2 out of 100. Oscar Piastri. So Oscar is entering his 3rd year of Formula 1, and I think he's got every chance to win the 2025 Driver Championship. He's supported well by his coach, Mark Webber, and I believe his goal will be to win the championship this year. McLaren is expected to have the best car, though, as I've previously mentioned, those top 4 manufacturers are going to be extremely close. I've rated Oscar the 3rd best race driver, and 5th best under the Focus framework, and 4th under the hot or not meter. I'm expecting some team order challenges in 2025 as Lando and Oscar figure out who's going to win the championship. Look out for Oscar in Australia, Great Britain and Qatar. He's achieved no DNFs in 2024. I've given him a rating of 88.5 out of 100. Lance Stroll. Lance is a very difficult driver to assess, and I really hope Lance utilises 2025 for a bit of a reset, both in his approach to driving and also how he interacts with the public. I fear this might not be the case, however, and I think his current approach will continue, and as a result I'm not quite clear what his actual goal will be. He does appear disinterested at times. I am expecting Aston Martin to have the 5th best car. It will be extremely tight midfield. I've rated Lance the 19th best race driver, 19th best under the Focus framework, and 20th under the hot or not meter. Look out for Lance in Australia and Canada. Lance has had 11 DNFs do not starts over the past 3 years. I've given him a rating of 69.1 out of 100. Liam Lawson. So I think a lot of people are underestimating Liam. I've been following him in his F2 days and his Super Formula season. He performed extremely well, and obviously a lot of people have seen him in a Formula 1 car now. However, this is going to be Liam's first full season, and he's going to be new to a number of tracks in an F1 car. However, I know Liam has a history of converting pressure into success, and so I believe his goal will be to exceed 200 points, which will push him into the top 6. Red Bull are expected to have the third best car. As I've previously mentioned, those top 4 manufacturers are going to be extremely close in performance due to the final year of regulations. I've rated Liam the 13th best race driver, 3rd best under the Focus framework, and 1st under the hot or not meter. Liam was excellent in Super Formula, and he has a habit of winning the opening race in each of his rookie seasons. Look out for Liam in Australia, Japan, Great Britain and Singapore. I've rated Liam 85.2 out of 100. Oliver Bearman. Oliver will be entering his first full rookie season after some great performances in 2024. His goal will be to put Esteban under pressure. I'm expecting Haas to have the 7th best equal car, however it's going to be an extremely tight midfield. I've rated Oliver the 14th best equal race driver, similar to the other rookies, 12th under the Focus framework and 13th under the hot or not meter. Look out for Oliver in Abu Dhabi, Saudi Arabia and Monaco. I've rated him 72.3 out of 100. George Russell. So I think this is going to be George's strongest year, and I think he's got every chance to be in the top 3 of the 2025 Driver Championship. If he can improve his consistency and if Mercedes can capitalise on an effective strategy, there could be a bit of an upset for some drivers. I believe his goal will be a top 3 for the championship. I am expecting Mercedes to have the 4th best car, however, and again, as I've mentioned, those top 4 manufacturers are going to be extremely close on performance. I rated George the 7th best race driver, 1st under the Focus framework. You can't underestimate his consistency. And 2nd under the hot or not meter. I believe Mercedes have a perfect pairing. Look out for George in Spain, Austria, Bahrain and Qatar. However, George will need to eliminate some DNFs and disqualifications this year. He's had 8 over the past 3 years. I've given him a rating of 87.4 out of 100. Charles Leclerc. Charles has a good chance to be top 3 in the 2025 Driver Championship, and it's possible that he wins it. If he can further improve his consistency and if Ferrari can capitalise on an effective strategy through this season, there could be a chance. I'm expecting Ferrari to have the 2nd best car, and as I've previously mentioned, those top 4 manufacturers are going to be extremely close. Charles, I've rated him the 4th best race driver, 7th best under the Focus framework and 5th under the hot or not meter. I believe there will be some team dynamic challenges throughout the season. Charles and Lewis figure out who's doing better, basically. Look out for Charles in Monaco, Italy and Abu Dhabi. I've given him a rating of 86.2 out of 100. Gabriel Bortoleto. So Gabriel will be entering his first rookie season after winning the Formula 2 championship. His confidence and motivation will be high. Like Nico, the car will hold him back. I believe his main goal will be to beat the other rookies. I am expecting Kick Sauber to have the 10th best car. I am expecting some improvements in the car this year, however, while most of the focus will be on the 2026 car development. I've rated Gabriel the 14th best equal race driver, similar to the other rookies, 8th best under the Focus framework and 10th under the hot or not meter. Look out for Gabriel in Austria, Italy and Abu Dhabi. I've given him a rating of 70.5 out of 100. Fernando Alonso. So Fernando is going to capitalise on his experience, placing pressure on those rookies. It will be a challenging year with his closest competitors being Carlos Sainz and Pierre Gasly. I believe his goal will be a top 10 championship finish. I am expecting Aston Martin to have the 5th best car. It's going to be an extremely tight midfield. I've rated Fernando the 5th best race driver, 6th best under the Focus framework. and 16th under the hot or not meter. I believe Fernando loses a bit in the motivation and team dynamics due to a lack of pressure by his teammate. Look out for Fernando in Canada, Japan and Azerbaijan. Fernando has had 9 DNFs over the past 3 years, with only 1 in 2024. I've given him a rating of 79.3 out of 100. Lewis Hamilton. So I think Lewis is going to start strongly this year. However, I expect his engagement to drop back, impacting his performance. This will be similar to his time at Mercedes. I believe his goal will be a top 3 finish for the Driver Championship. I am expecting Ferrari to have the second best car. And as I've previously mentioned, those top 4 manufacturers are going to be extremely close in terms of performance. I've rated Lewis the 6th best race driver, 9th best under the Focus framework and 14th under the hot or not meter. I believe there will be some team dynamic challenges throughout the season. Look out for Lewis in Great Britain, Spain, Mexico and Canada. I've given him a rating of 84.2 out of 100. Pierre Gasly. Pierre will have his eyes on being a top 10 driver for 2025. This will be a very competitive season, particularly with Fernando and Carlos, each of them vying for the top 10 position as well. I am expecting Alpine to have the 6th best car, and as I've previously mentioned, it's going to be an extremely tight midfield. I've rated Pierre the 12th best race driver, 13th best under the Focus framework, and 18th under the hot or not meter. Look out for Pierre in Brazil, Netherlands and Spain. Pierre has had 10 DNFs do not start over the past 3 years. I've given him an overall rating of 73.8 out of 100. Esteban Ocon. So Esteban is a seasoned operator, however he'll be looking to step up at Haas under some mixed seasons at Alpine. He will be under pressure by his teammate Oliver, and I believe his main goal will be to beat his teammate. I've rated Haas as the 7th best equal car, and as I've previously mentioned, it's going to be an extremely tight midfield. I've rated Esteban the 8th best race driver, 16th under the Focus framework, and 19th under the hot or not meter. I believe there will be some team dynamic challenges throughout the season, and look out for Esteban in Brazil, Belgium and Spain. I've given him a rating of 72.0 out of 100. Alex Albon. This will be a year that Alex will want to step up. Alex had a mixed 2024 year with 6 DNFs. He will be under pressure in 2025 with Carlos. This will likely lift his performance but also place pressure on him, which I expect will lead to some mistakes being made. I'm expecting Williams to have the 7th equal best car. I am expecting some improvements in the car this year, while most of the focus will be on next year's car development. I rated Alex the 20th on driver performance due to largely inconsistency in the previous 2024 year. I've rated him 15th best under the Focus framework and 15th under the hot or not meter. This is a pretty critical year for Alex. I believe his main goal will be to improve his consistency. He's had 16 DNFs do not starts over the past 3 years. I've given him a rating of 69.5 out of 100. Yuki Tsunoda. Yuki is pretty experienced and has been steadily increasing his consistency. However, he has not always coped well with his pressure, and I think 2025 will be no different with Isaac being his teammate. I believe his main goal will be to demonstrate an even temperament throughout the season, translating to consistent performances. I am expecting Racing Bulls to have the 9th best car. It's going to be an extremely tight midfield. I have rated Yuki the 11th best race driver, 18th under the Focus framework and 17th under the hot or not meter. Look out for Yuki in Australia, Emilia Romagna and Miami. Yuki has had 13 DNFs do not starts over the past 3 years. I've given him an overall rating of 68.3 out of 100. Nico Hülkenberg. So I think Nico will be entering this year with confidence, and the only thing holding him back will be the Kick Sauber car. He will upset some other drivers despite this, and I believe his goal will be to drive the socks of the car and obtain a top 15 finish. Kick Sauber I'm expecting to have the 10th best car. However, I am expecting some improvements in the car this year, while most of the focus will be on next year's car development. I have rated Nico the 10th best driver, 4th best under the Focus framework, and 9th under the hot or not meter. Look out for Nico in Australia, United States and Saudi Arabia. I've given him a rating of 73.0 out of 100. Carlos Sainz. Carlos will be entering this year with confidence after a successful year at Ferrari. He will immediately place Alex under pressure and will be battling for a top 10 finish in the 2025 Driver Championship. I'm expecting Williams to have the 7th best equal car, and I'm expecting some improvement in the car throughout the year. However, most of the focus will be on the 2026 car development. I have rated Carlos as the 9th best driver and 11th best under the Focus framework and 6th under the hot or not meter. Look out for Carlos in Bahrain, Monaco, Italy and Mexico. I've given him a rating of 75.1 out of 100. Isaac Hadjar. Isaac will be entering his rookie season after a very successful F2 season. He'll be highly motivated and wanting to prove himself. His goal will be to beat Yuki. Similar to Kimi, mistakes will be made and this will be a year of trial and error. I am expecting Racing Bulls to have the 9th best car and it's going to be an extremely tight midfield. I've rated Isaac the 14th best equal race driver, similar to the other rookies, 17th under the Focus framework and 11th under the hot or not meter. Look out for Isaac in Australia, Italy, Great Britain, Belgium and Qatar. I've given him an overall rating of 69.2 out of 100. So bringing it all together, what does this mean? What does it look like? So these are all the driver ratings. So based on my ratings, I'm seeing 5 drivers which could win the driver championship. So that'd be Oscar Piastri, Max, Lando, George, Charles. Those in the midfield, I'm seeing Carlos, Pierre being very close. And then I'm seeing about 5 or 6 drivers which are going to be fighting it out for the wooden spoon. I've got Yuki Tsunoda there. I know that will upset some people. He's actually quite an inconsistent driver when you look back. And I think the car's not going to be as good this year from I guess a proportional basis or a relative basis. And I'm seeing Lance Stroll with the Aston Martin not being that great either. So you know, for the driver championship, if you count up all the different points from 1st to 10th, there's 24 Grand Prix. That's 2,424 points. There's going to be 6 sprint races this year, so that's 216 points. So the total points available is 2,640 points for everyone. How does this translate to driver championship prediction? So there's a couple of higher level things. So you'll see in 2024 and kind of previous years, you know, Max has been right up the front, you know, kind of in the 400 to 500 600 point mark. I'm seeing a lot more even kind of split this year, where your top kind of 4-5 kind of individuals are going to be really close, and I think it's going to be extremely tight. I've got a bit of a variance of 50 points. You know, you can argue that's quite a high variance, but you know, that could just be, you know, 2 DNFs when you're expecting to win or something like that. So there's not much in it, and then that reduces down the lower points you kind of get to. So I am picking Oscar based on this framework to win this year. I think Max and Lando will be right on him, and I think George is going to have a really successful year. I'm seeing Liam and kind of Charles and Lewis battling it out. I have got Liam in at 6. I think people have underestimated Liam massively. I think he's going to get in that car and he's going to really exceed expectations. And conversely, I think Lewis is probably going to find out that he's probably towards the end of his time, and I know that's going to upset some people, but I've been watching him closely at Mercedes, and if the car doesn't work for him, his confidence, engagement, all of those things are going to just drop off. He knows what he likes and he knows what he doesn't like, and I think he's going to find that Ferrari car, it's not going to be a perfect match, and so he's going to fall off, and that's going to create pressure through the season, which is going to add to that level of performance. I do see Kimi Antonelli coming up in the rear of the top 4 teams. It's going to be a really successful year still, It's just that, he's very young. He's going to be new to it. He's still going to exceed expectations. 8th is going to be really good. I think after that, then it gets really close. I think Fernando is going to be really struggling with the Aston Martin, but he's such a battler. He's going to find the points where the points aren't actually on offer. And I think Carlos is going to really drive that Williams, and I think he will be putting pressure on Williams to make that car as good as possible. And so they'll be looking to improve that. And then you got Pierre Gasly with the Alpine. I think the Alpine's going to be a strong car in the midfield. And so you're going to have those 3 drivers really battling it out. And then Nico Hülkenberg, he's an exceptional driver. And so I think he's going to really make that kick-sauber go when it shouldn't be going. I could be wrong on that, but that's my thoughts. And I think just with Audi in the picture, surely they're going to improve that kick-sauber. And then I see the 2 Haas drivers being really close. I'm not super sold on Esteban. I'm not quite sure why. And I think Oliver's going to pip him on the line. It's going to be very tight between the 2 of them through the year, but I think Oliver's going to beat him. And then you got Jack Doohan, which I think is going to exceed expectations for a rookie. And then you have Gabriel Bortoleto following up really closely. Alex Albon was a bit of a tricky one. You could say that's a huge point difference between Carlos. If you look at 2024 with Alex, you actually see like he was pretty much the last driver out of the drivers that had a full season. And then I think Isaac's gonna pip Yuki. I don't think the Racing Bulls car is gonna be that great. I think Lance Stroll, he's right at kind of the lowest point, I think, from engagement and motivation. Just there seems to be excuses all the time. And then I've got Yuki in at 20th. I mean, you could argue that's probably too low. He did really well last year. I see the Racing Bulls car not being that great, and I see a lot of pressure being placed on Yuki. So how does this translate to the Constructor Championship? So I'm picking McLaren's going to win the championship, and then I'm picking Red Bull going to be right up there as well. And then following, there's going to be a really tight battle for 3rd between Ferrari and Mercedes. And then again, you've got Aston Martin, Williams and Alpine, which are going to be fighting for that 5th, 6th and 7th. And then you have Haas and Kick-Sauber in at 8th and 9th. And then Racing Bulls coming up in the rear. If this does happen the way it is here, this would be a bit of a difference. And this is because I'm putting in quite a bit of weighting on the fact that it's the final year of the regulations. Most teams should know now what's working and what's not. So I'm seeing that point distribution kind of spreading across all the teams a little bit more this year. Where do I think the key battles are? Well, like I said previously, I think there's 5 drivers which could realistically be driver champion this year. I'm seeing George and Charles a little bit more of an outside chance. The 2 McLaren drivers and Max, I think it's going to be very much in that sort of area. Each of these drivers have tracks which they consistently perform well in, and it will be really up to the consistency of their team and the performance of the car. But I think it's going to be a hot battle this year. Fighting for top 10, as I've previously mentioned, you got Fernando, Carlos and Pierre. One of them are going to miss out on that top 10 position at the end of the year. And I think there's going to be a bit of a fight to not be crowned last. As with the battles up front, it's going to be very close at the back of the pack. I'm expecting high levels of inconsistency, pressure and team challenges for these drivers. As I've previously mentioned, I recognise Yuki being last doesn't sound quite right, but my thoughts are he'll be under pressure to perform to secure a contract, creating inconsistency, and other cars will be superior. As I've previously kind of mentioned around the Constructor Championship contenders, I'm picking McLaren to win, given the quality of the car and the driver pairing. However, given these teams are in the final year of the current engine regulations, they will have a solid understanding of what has worked and what hasn't. This means any one of these manufacturers could have a chance. I'm quite interested in what are your predictions. Who do you think will win the Driver and Constructor Championship?